There comes a time in every person's life when you realise it's not about doing what you are told, but doing what you know is right for you. Let us take a journey of learning and discovery with the world's most successful people who are living the life of their dreams, walking through life using their inner wisdom and being of service to others. Forget exams, grades and test scores. What is your purpose? As we let go of what we think should be and learn from our elders to gain knowledge, inspiration and a true sense of who we are. What are your dreams? Does your life have meaning? Are you living a life of significance? Let's talk with today's guest. Hello, welcome back to the Learning on Fire podcast with me, Mark Taylor. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, all about the top 5 resources that our guests have shared over these last 40 episodes. And it's been an amazing journey, and I just wanted to, having had a conversation with some people this week, make sure that those of you who are listening, especially if you're recent listeners, that you really understand exactly how Learning on Fire fits into the Education on Fire network, and even maybe you don't even understand or know how all these things fit together. So I just wanted to take this episode today just to re-establish that so that you understand how it fits into the entire Education on Fire world. And also just to say we're going to have a little summer siesta just through August, just to give everyone a bit of a chance to rejuvenate. It's the UK summer holidays here. I'm going to be spending some time with our family and going away and actually setting up some new projects ready for the autumn. And so I thought it'd just give us a chance just to catch our breath and get off what feels a little bit like a treadmill, especially if you're listening in the UK, and I know you're going to be on holidays as well. There's plenty of episodes for you to catching up with and also to explore through the whole Education on Fire network. So first of all, everything comes under educationonfire.com. That's the home of where everything lives. And Education on Fire, the podcast, started as a passion project in terms of me sharing some inspiring and creative things that were happening in schools, because I just wanted to change the whole dialogue really of all the negativity that's going on in the media and give support to teachers and people involved in education who feel like they don't quite know where to turn, just so that they could hear some great things that were happening which they could share with people in their school, share with their senior leadership, and just sort of bring some things in just to reinvigorate really exactly what it is and the reason that they got into teaching. And that's obviously grown over time, and we're now at 105 episodes for that podcast, which is just amazing. And I appreciate the support and inspiration that I get from people getting in contact with me week in, week out. So thank you very much for that. This Learning on Fire podcast came out of the feedback that I got from parents basically saying, yes, we're really interested in supporting our children in their education, but it needs to be a little bit more about the child, a bit about the whole child. How do we support them within the education system, especially outside of the grades and the testing and having to do this very prescriptive curriculum, which is very much in there now. How do we make it broader than that? How do we make it expansive in terms of their outlook? And that's really exactly what this podcast is all about, interviewing people that are living life on their terms, whatever that happens to be, whether it's involved in building a business, if it's following their passion, but doing it on their terms in their own way. And we use those 10 questions that I have every week as a format for you to be able to hear the same sort of questions, but you get back very different answers often, and they're able to share the important things that they've been told, their mentors, the books they've read, the types of advice they've got, which has made such a big difference to them. And hopefully as parents listening, it starts a conversation with your children. Maybe you're listening to it as a podcast in the car, maybe you're on your way to school or to a practice or a club or something like that. And if you are still at school, hopefully if you really feel like you're not quite sure how you fit into school, you're not quite sure what schools are all about, you've only ever thought that you have to go, it sort of opens up the idea that actually it's there for you. It's there for you as a tool, it's there for you as an experience, but it's not who you are, it's not what it's all about. It's there for you to grab hold of and then work out how that fits into your passions, how you see your life developing, what it is that you want to achieve in your life and how you want to show up in the world and be that type of person. And hopefully all of these things you hear from my great guests that are sharing their experiences and their insights will help you see that there's no one way. There's lots of different ways, but through it there's a thread. There's a thread about them using their skills having their passions, about having mentors, surrounding themselves with groups of people that make a big difference in their lives. And hopefully you can start to see how that would fit within your world as well. Is there a teacher that's making a big difference? Is there a club you can be involved in? Is there a passion that you can really get into and really thrive with, or a new hobby, or a new something which you can just expose yourself to, which may or may not turn out to be the best thing ever, but a niche you've given it a go. And so that's really the essence of what Learning on Fire is all about, really just digging deep into that, having those conversations, having those experiences, and actually just grabbing it by the horns. I mean, that's really the best way of describing it. And one of the things that's made it possible is the fact that we've had a sponsor this year from the National Association for Primary Education. And they're a non-political charity that are basically supporting children from birth to 13, and all those people that are involved in education and supporting children within that age group, whether they're teachers, whether they're governors, whether they're TAs, whatever it happens to be, they're supporting children in that age group. And them sponsoring meant that they were able to support me to give more and more content for you, to be able to also set up a podcast for them as well. If the National Association for Primary Education podcast talks about the things that they do, I interview people on their national council, the sorts of events and projects that they're involved in. And each of the 3 of these podcasts are on different feeds in terms of if you're looking at them in iTunes or Google or anywhere those like that, you have to search them individually, but they all live under the same website, educationonfire.com. So if you're interested, if you've come across this podcast just purely through a podcast app, just check out those other ones. So just search for Learning on Fire, Education on Fire, or the National Association for Primary Education, and those 3 separate podcasts, which all live, as I said, under the educationonfire.com umbrella, can pop up, and you'll see how each of those things work slightly differently. Education on Fire, obviously directly inspiring and creativity within schools. Learning on Fire is from supporting parents and children going through school. And then the National Association for Primary Education, which really is just able to talk about what they do, the projects they do, and the fact they have so much influence in that kind of policy making level. The fact that they are able to have meetings with ministers, the fact that they're able to form coalitions and be part of things like More Than a School to really get that message out there that children, it's more than just testing, it's actually about the whole child, and bringing groups of people together to be able to support that as they do as part of the primary umbrella group. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that's how this Learning on Fire podcast fits in that, and the fact that I thought it was also important that I brought my message and also my passion into Education on Fire. And of course, my passion, my drive is through music, as a professional musician, as a percussionist, as a drummer. And that's really through that and my education experience of educating music in schools is why we then created Primary Music on Fire, supporting teachers and taking the fear out of teaching music for those teachers who want support and extra resources and a community to be able to deliver music in the school, to give that wide, broad curriculum, to be able to support those children, as I was one of those that just suddenly understood what learning was all about through something other than maths and English and science, that there's more to life than those things, as important as they are, to know that people talk in different ways, they feel in different ways, they express themselves in different ways. And because music was my thing, that's where I really wanted to put my energies beyond just the 3 podcasts. So that's really what Education on Fire is all about. If you haven't come across some of these things before, you didn't realise that was the case, hopefully that's really just given you the opportunity to understand how it fits into that whole big picture. And go away and explore each of those in your own time and see how they fit in with your idea of learning, how it fits in with your children, how it fits in with anything that you're doing. So thanks very much for listening. Do go and subscribe on whichever platform that you, because that's the best way to know exactly when the latest episode's coming out, because they just get downloaded to your smartphone or your tablet. Please do go and like the Facebook page. There's all extra things on there that we do, and you'll see me doing some Facebook Lives and keeping you up to date with what's going on across the network. And join the email list. If you go to educationonfire.com, you can join up to the email list there, and there I give you all the latest episodes, all the latest resources. Sometimes we have some freebies and extra things that we can give away as well. So Do all those three things, and that will really make a big difference. And if you're really loving the show, I'd really appreciate it if you just share it with some people that you know. If you could just share it with one person so that we can really get this message out there, really support everybody so that the next generation have all the skills they need, not just those real STEM subjects, which are a real important thing within school. We know that the world's a bigger place than that, and we need to support the whole child in the best possible way we can. So thanks very much for listening. As I said, we're going to have a summer siesta. We'll be back again in September, and have a great holiday. Thanks for listening to the Learning on Fire podcast. For more information, please visit educationonfire.com and follow the links from the homepage. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.